So hello everyone, I'm on here, welcome to my review of My Academia episode 25, the final episode, right? And first of all, the face, right? I mean, if you look at my live reaction, I usually show the face from the manga twice, because I was not sure they were doing it, and that for me, by itself shows that the padding is pretty bad, right? I was like, no, it's a scene, right? I was like, no, they're probably gonna do it once more when they actually even angle the face. So, I already did, it's kind of like, yeah, this episode is just kind of like, feeling it out. I think the episode actually was pretty poor for a final episode, right? Because it really is a transitional episode between one arc and another arc. So as the final episode, it really is kind of lackluster, because it goes from, okay, we had a training arc, and now we're going to the training camp arc, which is a really good arc, which is 3, right? And then we have this like tense moment here. But that moment, of course, is great. Really great. Urakara gets there, he's like, we are friends! It's like, you had our friend to yourself. I mean, it's a good moment there. But the thing is that the whole episode for that, it's pretty weak, right? Because if you read the manga about this, the manga gets here way quicker, and they don't like repeat those scenes. So if, again, this is my live reaction. I did show the face over my face there twice, because I was like, this is the moment, right? And I was like, okay, no, it's one more. It's like, this is not how the manga is. I know, of course, the manga does it like in a similar way. It's like they talk, you see one of the faces, you see Urakara, see the face again. Yeah, the manga does the same thing again. I know the manga does that in a similar way, but with the manga, it's like, you know, face, page, face, right? Yeah, in anime, it's like face, commercial break, some jokes, some more talk, Urakara, more Urakara, face. Yeah, that is like 2-3 minutes in between, right? Or more. When the manga is like one page in between. So it's a big difference, a very, very big difference. So I completely mistimed my live reaction because of that. But in my opinion at least, and maybe I'm saying this to defend myself, but it's like, I do think that shows that the padding is, of course, there's like, okay, we have to make this scene for like 5-6 minutes long, when it probably should be like 3 minutes long, right? The scene should be way shorter. I think that's pretty clear. And overall, otherwise, yeah, I feel it's been a weak episode. I mean, the beginning is just kind of whatever, and I'm expecting that when I saw the preview last week, the first 10 minutes or so is gonna be like, oh yeah, let's go to training camp. So Mineta jokes, that's pretty poor. We see like, because he think they could ice one. A pretty mediocre comedy in the beginning there. Some jokes there with Eraserhead, Aizawa Sensei and so on, right? Ida. Yeah, so pretty much like, there is some comedy there, but it isn't very funny. It's like a mediocre, that kind of comedy, right? I'm sure I laughed at it, but it's like, I was like, oh my god, it's the best comedy ever in My Hero. It's just kind of there. And after that, of course, we get to the whole, what's called a gallery, yeah, the whole mall, and that is a good scene. That is a good. I love the scene there. It's one of the most absolutely memorable scenes in the manga, with that face, for the creepy face things. But I really want to talk about the face thing though. So I mentioned earlier, right, for the padding issue. But when you get to the actual face, it's so clear, and I put this as a thumbnail for my live reaction. It's so clear how it doesn't really work because the sense stuff of that. So we see his face, and it's like he has his wrinkles, right? It goes from his eyes down to a pretty big, because he also scratches his face, right? So he also scratches his face. And that is just completely censored in the anime. And I expected that to be like that. And it really was just that. The censorship is pretty much spot on what I expected it to look like. Which is very much, very much lackluster. Not even close to the level of creepiness and horror the manga has. And yeah, it's a lot of different reasons why, but the main factor is just very simple, right? They removed all his scars here. They removed all of that. They removed kind of the lines here. So basically, all those like black and white lines the artist had done, right? All the very specific like scars, all the details is removed. I think that is the primary reason. It's not like watching Berserker compared to the Berserker manga and anime, where they really have censored everything. If you watch the Berserker anime and think, oh, this is so brutal, I watch the manga, when I read the manga, it's insane censorship in that anime. In all of the different animes of Berserker, they have it's ridiculous censored. They remove the half the seasons as well, right? But it's just kind of weird sense to it, because the thing is that My Hero, as a manga, I think sometimes it's a little uneven. Because sometimes it's amazing, like it's just like 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, like amazing scenes. And then it's kind of like, the pacing is not always that good in the manga either. Some fights are kind of lackluster and so on. But sometimes they have this like really amazing moments. And the artist, he's really good at doing this, like, okay, we're gonna make this scene here. Like, he's really good at like creating like a scenery scene, right? So like that face scene, it's like it felt like he spent a week just on that scene, right? And then all the pages like whatever. I was kind of the anime is just that's for that. I think the anime wasn't even close to it, and primarily it's because censorship. It's because of those things, but it also the colors. I think the colors don't help. I think it's creepy in black and white. I'm looking at the pages at my side here, like comparing them, and it's also one thing. The face is actually more open in the manga. Yeah, his face is more open. His teeth are more showing in the manga. The tongue isn't there. The lips aren't there. So we just see the inside of his mouth. Right? It's like an empty hole. That gives him less of a soul. I think usually the eyes present the soul, but I think that's one thing. And also the hair is definitely also something. I look at the image. Yeah, the hair is well right because in the hair in the manga it's much more stiff. So it's like the different catches are like. So it looks more rough. It looks more like menacing. When the anime is more flowing in his hair, it looks more natural, like he has to a shower, right? When in the manga it's like he has showered for like 3 years, right? And he just scratched his hair. Like it was this thing pretty much, yeah. So they're losing that. They're really losing that. Yeah, they're really losing that when it comes to the anime. I think that is actually something that, of course, happens a lot of anime. I think that very important in this anime. It's probably gonna be. Yeah, similar the stain scene, all of those scenes. It's like, yeah, that was a great scene, but like I'm saying it, I absolutely recommend the manga instead. Reading it for the most dramatic scenes, because the manga does it very, very well. Absolutely. But anyway, enough of that face scene. I just want to explain again there. Right? I was like looking at my library, and I was like, I saw his face twice. Why did I do that for? And I looked at the back, I was like, yeah, probably because it actually was hard to determine when we're gonna show it. Or like, more like, I saw it first, I was like, oh, it's coming now, okay, show it. I was like, it only showed half of it right now. The half of the scene. It was like, okay, and then it's like, it's probably gonna come now. It's one joke, right, with Urakara. I was like, no, it's another 2-3 minutes of it. Yeah, so the padding obviously was bad. The first half minutes was bad. And afterwards, that was completely filler, right? It added a few scenes there. We see everyone, his name. I'm blanking on the name right now, but like Ida was his brother, and so on. Deku, of course, training at the beach and so on, right there. So we see the whole thing here again. Nothing bad with that. It's the final episode. So, but I was saying that it really is kind of weird. Really is a kind of unconclusive final episode, right? Because they really are just. It's an annoying episode, I think, because it's like a very much filler episode. The first 10 or so minutes. Not 10 minutes back, the first 7 or so minutes are just like some random jokes, get to the mall, and then after the whole mall incident, which is the actual episode, right? They have more of that stuff, and they're just like, they're doing nothing else, just adding in more time, and we look at the main chapter of this thing, which I was read, it watched it, yeah, forget the images, it's just, there he just has that, they're talking about that thing, goes to the mall is way shorter, way more impactful, and it's over, yeah, so everything after the mall scene, except of course the cops in the mall, right there, after that scene, everything is of course just filler, right? There's nothing to do with the manga at all, not something canonical there. I think it's very clear there, and it's kind of weird too that they cut away the ending. So they had the ending song very early during the class thing. You feel like there's gonna be a lot of info here then, but it really isn't. They easily could have the ending song instead of having the epilogue scenes. They easily could have that. I'm not saying it's better or worse, because I guess I probably prefer hearing the ending song during whatever random joke scene, and then having some epilogue scenes there, people like, oh, I got my family now and so on. So it's kind of nice, but it really is like, okay, this episode is like, I was episode pretty much like 50% of the least filler. Like, yeah, you can just skip half the episode easily, right? So I do think it's a lackluster ending. It really is, and obviously the face thing wasn't good at all. So they actually was probably one of the weakest episodes of the whole anime, especially compared to reading the manga. Just for knowing how it goes to lose the manga, but yeah, but everything is kind of like meh. And then of course we get to the ending, right? We get to see the main antagonist, of course. And that scene, I will say, also was pretty weak. It really was, yeah. I expected it to be more cliffhanger-ish. I think so. I can't remember. I think about the manga. The manga doesn't do it much better. Yeah, he's kind of whatever in the manga as well there. So that's not really on the anime. They just couldn't do much more with it. But he's kind of like, my plan is in motion. The end. It's very much like this cliche bad guy is like, plan is perfect. It's like the end. It's like, yeah, you really get nothing from him. You see the brain thing, the Nemo thing, and so on, right? And yeah, like you really get nothing from that scene, really. It's like, he's evil. He has plans. Something like that. And yeah, don't forget the first scene, though. The first scene was great. There with Toga entering. And also, yeah, I should say that as well. The other guy, like Doper, yeah, he also looks. Toga looks kind of similar. She looks a little more insane in the manga, but the other guys, those look way more intimidating in the manga, of course, with all the weird patches and yeah. So I feel that censorship is kind of annoying me in the anime for sure. But generally, yeah, the episode's like a filler episode, and the censor the best scene, and the rest was like filler. So really lackluster ending, I would say, in my opinion. So anyway, see you guys next year, maybe season 3. Obviously, this season 3 is already announced, and obviously they go to season 3 because it's one of the biggest selling mangas right now, right? So have a great day.